The unseen truth. Graham Ellis leaned back in his ergonomic office chair, rubbing his temples as he scrolled through a long list of customer complaints on his tablet. His pet supply chain, Paw Haven, had grown to 7 locations since he bought it 5 years ago. What started as a passion project had turned into a regional brand, but the latest reports were deeply unsettling. Customers were complaining about unprofessional employees, unclean stores, and worst of all, neglected animals. It stung. "Sir, I really think we should send one of the district managers to look into this," his assistant, Dana, said gently. Graham shook his head. "No, I want to see it for myself." The truth was, Graham had been feeling increasingly disconnected from the business he had poured his soul into. He hadn't visited the stores in person in years. Most of the employees wouldn't even recognize him outside of corporate Zoom calls and annual memos. And that was exactly the problem. So, he made a decision. He'd go undercover, visiting the stores as an ordinary customer. No entourage, no name tags. With a fresh haircut, a pair of thick glasses, and some casual clothes, he'd blend in just enough to disappear. His first stop was one of the busiest locations in the chain. He pulled into the parking lot on a gray Monday morning, took a deep breath, and stepped inside. The scent of pet food and wood shavings hit him instantly. But something fell off. The floors looked like they hadn't been mopped in days, and several shelves were nearly empty. Over near the hamster enclosure, a woman was tapping impatiently on the glass. "Excuse me," Graham said as he approached her. "Is something wrong?" She looked up, clearly frustrated. "I've been waiting for someone to help me for 10 minutes. The water bottle in this cage is bone dry." Graham glanced inside. A tiny brown hamster was licking helplessly at an empty nozzle. His stomach turned. "I'll find someone," he said. He made his way to the front counter, where 2 employees were engaged in a lazy conversation. One, a lanky young man with unruly blonde hair, leaned against the register. The other, a woman whose name tag read Marissa, was scrolling through her phone. "Excuse me," Graham said. "There's a hamster cage with no water. A customer needs help." Marissa barely looked up. "Yeah, we'll get to it," she said in a bored tone. "It's already been a while. That's not safe for the animal." The blonde guy laughed. "If she's that worried, she could buy a bottle herself." Graham clenched his fists. "Taking care of the animals is part of your job." Marissa finally looked up and rolled her eyes. "Look, old man, you don't work here, so maybe mind your business." Graham took a long breath, forcing himself to stay calm. He wasn't ready to blow his cover. Not yet. Before he could say more, another employee, a young woman with her hair in a tight ponytail, hurried over. "I'll handle it," she said quickly, giving him an apologetic glance before rushing to the cage. He nodded slightly and continued browsing the aisles, his heart heavy. He picked up a bag of dog treats and a new collar for Max, his aging Labrador. As he neared the register, he overheard laughter behind him. "Can you believe that guy?" Marissa scoffed, acting like he owns the place. The blonde guy chuckled. "Maybe he should open his own pet store. Probably end up just as clueless as our CEO. What's his name again?" "Oh, right, Graham Ellis. Guy's probably in his penthouse somewhere, counting his money." Graham's jaw tightened. He expected to find issues. But the casual cruelty, the open contempt, that cut deeper than he expected. He paid and stepped out into the parking lot, his mind racing. He wasn't going to react yet. He needed more data, more clarity. He walked around the building and stationed himself near the employee entrance. 10 minutes later, Marissa and the blonde guy stepped out, lighting cigarettes. "You actually doing any work today?" Marissa teased. The guy blew out smoke. "Barely. I told that new girl to clean the kennels. She actually thinks that's my job." Marissa snorted. "You're lucky she's new. If she finds out what a joke this place is." Graham's fist curled. So this wasn't just laziness. It was deliberate negligence. Suddenly, a car pulled up to the curb. A woman in her 40s stepped out, clutching a tiny shivering dog wrapped in a blanket. Her face was tight with anxiety. Graham followed her inside. At the counter, she approached a cashier, a young man with dark curls. "I need help," she said, shifting the dog in her arms. "I bought flea meds here last week. He's been scratching nonstop ever since." His skin's raw. I think he had a reaction. The cashier frowned. Do you have a receipt? I might have lost it, she admitted. Marissa, now back behind the counter, chimed in. Then we can't help you. I'm not asking for a refund, the woman pleaded. Just some advice. Or maybe exchange it. No receipt, no return, Marissa snapped. That's policy. The woman looked down at her trembling pet, defeated. The cashier offered, if you used a credit card, I can try checking the purchase history. Why bother? Marissa interjected. It's not our fault she didn't check for side effects. Graham stepped forward. Enough. Marissa turned. What's your problem? He ignored her and faced the woman. Come with me. He led her to the wellness section, scanning until he found a soothing skin ointment. This might help, but if he doesn't improve, take him to a vet right away. Her eyes watered. Thank you. I just needed someone to care. Graham nodded and walked back to the front. You turned her away without even trying, he said to Marissa. She shrugged. Not my problem. It is now. She rolled her eyes. Whatever. He walked out, seething. The next day, Graham visited another store, one with high sales but mixed reviews. The contrast was immediate. Shelves were full. Employees were helping customers. A manager in his 50s was helping an elderly woman compare dog food brands. Graham picked up a bag of senior cat food and approached a red-headed employee. Is this good for older cats? He asked. She smiled. Great choice. It's got added nutrients for joints and digestion. Do you like working here? He asked. She hesitated, then lowered her voice. When a manager's here, yes. But when his assistant runs the shift, not so much. Plays favorites. Makes life miserable for people he doesn't like. A few coworkers have quit over it. Another red flag. By the time he returned to his office, Graham's frustration had only deepened. One store was broken by neglect. Another showed potential but was held back by toxic management. He called Dana, Indiana. Set up a meeting with the district managers. I want every store manager present. And pull reports on turnover, complaints, and write-ups from the last year. Dana raised an eyebrow as she took the folder. Something tells me you found more than you bargained for. Oh, I did. By noon, the conference room was filled. Some managers looked confident. Others, not so much. I've spent the past few days visiting stores as a regular customer, Graham began. And what I found was unacceptable. A murmur spread through the room. If these issues were being handled, he continued, I wouldn't have seen employees neglecting animals, disrespecting customers, and mocking their own CEO. One district manager tried to interject. Sir, if there were problems. Graham cut him off. There were problems, and they weren't being handled. Silence fell. Finally, one senior manager, a woman named Carla, leaned forward. Some managers avoid discipline. They don't document issues, and some play favorites. Graham's voice was firm. That ends now. He held up a list. Marissa and that associate at Store 4 terminated immediately. Their behavior endangered animals and insulted our values. The assistant manager at Store 2? Under review. I'll be conducting interviews there myself. He looked around the table. And for those stores doing well, we'll recognize strong leadership. We're rolling out a leadership development program. No more favoritism. Every employee gets a fair chance to move up. Nods of agreement followed. He continued. Surprise inspections will become standard. Any neglect, immediate disciplinary action. And we're opening a direct line from frontline employees to corporate. No fear of retaliation. That afternoon, Graham returned to the first store, this time without a disguise. Marissa was gone. So was her smoking buddy. The young woman who had helped with the hamster looked nervous when he approached. You stepped up when others didn't, Graham said. I noticed. That's why I'm promoting you. Tears welled in her eyes. Thank you. He turned to the rest of the team. Things are changing. You can either step up or step out. Later, he watched from near the entrance. Employees moved with urgency. The air had shifted. Word of the firings had spread fast. Slackers were suddenly attentive. He spotted the newly promoted employee speaking confidently with a coworker near the pet care section. Her posture had changed, shoulders back, voice steady. Leadership was growing from within. The store manager, absent during Graham's first visit, approached cautiously. "I want to assure you, Mr. Ellis, I take your concerns seriously," he said. "Then tell me why it took my personal visit for anything to change." The man exhaled. "I let things slide. I thought avoiding conflict kept the store running smoothly. But I see now, it only made things worse." "This isn't punishment," Graham said. "It's accountability. Going forward, I expect oversight. Check-ins. Action." "Understand," the man nodded. As Graham moved through the store, he saw employees reorganizing shelves, cleaning enclosures, helping customers. Not out of fear, but out of awareness. Standards had returned. He peeked into the break room. A few staff members sat quietly. "I don't expect perfection," he told them, "but I expect effort. This job isn't just about sales. It's about trust." One young man spoke. "Some of us care. We just felt like it didn't matter." Graham held his gaze. "It matters now." That week, he visited a third store, one with excellent reviews and reputation. The difference was instant. Floors gleamed. Shelves were full. Staff was engaged. In the small animal section, a teen carefully cleaned cages and refilled bottles. "How often are these checked?" Graham asked. "Every shift," the teen replied confidently. "We have a checklist, and if someone skips it, they don't last." That was the culture he wanted. He found the store manager, Cynthia, in the back office. "I've heard great things," Graham said. She smiled. "It's about setting clear expectations. Recognize good work. Address bad habits early." He asked if she'd help train other managers. She didn't hesitate. Absolutely. By the time he returned to headquarters, the blueprint was clear. Mentorship, random inspections, open communication, accountability. He sent out the first round of policy updates that night. This wasn't just about cleaning house. It was about rebuilding trust from the bottom up. And he would never let that slip again.